Hello and welcome to Norseman Radio. This is the podcast for you if you would like to listen to interesting and intriguing stories around Norseman. This podcast is not just for those who would like to jump off the car ferry into the freezing Idefjord waters. With me today for the first episode is very fittingly Hårek Stranheim. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Oh, it was quite close.
Oh, good. Perfect.
Hårek would be perfect, but it was good enough.
By the end of the podcast, I'll hopefully have it correctly. So everyone knows you as the founder of the very special Norseman race. But how else would you describe yourself in the world today?
Well, I am a Norwegian, live 2 hours south of Oslo. I'm just a regular guy, age 52 now, family guy that have enjoyed long distance triathlons as a lifestyle for some 20 years.
Amazing, thank you. And talking about long distance triathlon, I know that everyone has read the blog on the Norseman website about the story of the creation of Norseman, but we would really love to dive deeper with you and get into the nitty-gritty of how Norseman really came about. So could you describe to us how the journey and the creation of the race as it is today, but from the very beginning?
Okay, triathlon got some popularity in Norway in the 80s and very early 90s, and then the sport completely died during the second half of the 90s. So in the year 2000, only 9 people made a long distance triathlon. I did my first in Sweden in 1999. After 10 years on the coach, completely out of shape, and I enjoyed that experience so much. I wanted to bring a good event to Norway, or since the sport had a broken neck, I thought that the best way to bring it to Norway would be to have a proper event. So I started to look after a place where I could start an event that could be as great as the one in Kalmar in Sweden. Now currently it's the Ironman Sweden place. It's a beautiful little city, it's flat, it's warm water, it's always nice weather, it's good people. I've done that race 4 times, and it's such a great place for a triathlon. We don't have any places like that in Norway. I would say you cannot find one single place in our country that could be compared with Kalmar in Sweden in any ways. So I did spend some time trying to find this place where we could have a fast, typical triathlon event, just like the others, only in Norway. Mm-hmm. So when it was totally impossible to find that place in Norway, it was quite easy, I think, to decide that we should do something completely the opposite of the normal, fast, flat, comfortable, warm, nice triathlons. And with that idea, it was actually quite easy to find a few alternatives, and I think the best one was swim in this Hardangerfjorden, because it is not too far north. I thought that going further north than Hardangerfjorden would be too cold water. And since I live in the county of Telemark, a couple of hours south of Oslo, I really wanted the race to end at the top of a mountain. And the most beautiful mountain in Norway is obviously the mountain Gaustatoppen. It is my home mountain. Actually, it didn't take much time playing around on the map, finding out that the obvious track for Norseman would be from this Hardangerfjorden. and the little spot called Eidfjord, going across the Hardanger mountain plateau and ending up at the mountain Gaustatoppen.
And what feelings did you experience when you realised that the exact distance from Eidfjord to Gaustatoppen was the Ironman distance?
Well, this was before Google Maps, and I had never been any of these places before, I must say. So we didn't know it would fit in. I thought actually the route would be far too short, so I thought we would spend about 25 kilometers on the bike, just trying to spend the last 25 kilometers in the city of Rjukan and Geilo and perhaps in Eidfjord and so on. So when we actually made the measurement of the track, and we found out that is absolutely perfectly fits with the 180k and the 42.2 kilometers for the run, I was quite amazing actually. It was like this event was given to us by someone.
Yeah, so take us to that moment where you, so in England a lot of, and with swim run, a lot of it comes when you're drunk, you're in a pub and you've got the maps laid out. What was the setting of the creation of Norseman, or realising this incredible distance was perfect?
We were out with very high quality measurement equipment, and my friend Fredrik had done the bicycle race with this equipment. And I realized that in the first year we had biked 1 kilometer too short, so we had, the bike leg was longer than I thought before the first race, and we went all the way to do the 180 kilometers, and then we came to the beach where we now have the T2, and it was such a beautiful place, and I'm still freezing on my back of the moment when we realized that it fits perfectly to have T2 at this beautiful place with a view over the lake, and it's absolutely perfect. And then it was a run leg, and we used the same equipment for the first 37 kilometers up to where you start to walk into the mountain at the path. And the same Fredrik, he did the measurement of the last 4 kilometers at this path alone with a rope. I think the rope was 25 meters long, and there was lots of people walking in the mountains and disturbing him. So it took him the whole day to measure it, and it turned out to be perfect as well.
Yeah, wow. That's such an incredible coincidence.
Yeah.
So once you had the measurements all finalised, you realised it was the perfect distance for an Ironman distance race in the Norwegian mountains. How did you then get to the first ever Norseman official race?
Well, actually, this proper measurement happened a few weeks after the first year. So we didn't really know that it was perfect when we ran the race the first year. But I started to plan for the race 2 years ahead of this, earlier, in 2001.
So can you tell us about the creation of the first race, so before you'd measured it? Because I know, having spoken to Clive, who's now one of the volunteers, that you did coerce him, or persuade and lie to him, that it would be a really fun social race, which he might argue it was not. So how did you get to that moment, to having that many people on the start line?
Okay, we had 21 people on the start line the first year. And I spent a lot of time the last year trying to recruit people to join me for doing the race the first year. As there were no triathletes in Norway, or hardly any triathletes, it was not that easy to find them. I even went home to people trying to persuade them to join us for doing the race. That's always the boring part of starting something or starting an event. You spend so much time trying to recruit participants, which also continued for the next 2 or 3 years, I think. But after then, it has been very easy to recruit participants for Norseman, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what did you tell people for the first race? How did you persuade them?
I think I just told them whatever it took to persuade them to join in. So for this climb you mentioned, I told him that this was going to be a very sociable group ride. So it was like a friendly, it was not a race, it was just doing that swim, riding the bike together, taking photos and being sociable and so on. Which made him actually join us, which was good. But I wasn't really lying to him. I was just quite flexible and agile about how this should turn out. I knew what kind of race I wanted to start, but how you can start it, how you can get it going, that's more complicated. Mm. So it took some slight lying, I suppose. Mm.
So when you crossed Gausetoppen for the first time, what was that feeling like?
Well, I did the race myself, and it was a very small organization. So when I arrived at the finish line, I sent the rest of the organization back down to the hotel. So I took over them and welcomed the rest of the athletes that were behind me in the course. And we had the national broadcasting with us all day. They were following me and this same Frederick. Yeah. So it was actually quite exhausting, I would say, not only doing the race myself, but also organizing it and having the broadcasting around our head all day. Yeah. Yeah, but it was excellent. And people were happy doing it, and it was a good atmosphere the whole day, I think. Mm.
And when was it? Was it before the first race, or was it when you got to the top of Gausetoppen that you knew you wanted to hold it again and again and again?
I think I was very convinced that this race would be a great success. I tend to be very optimistic about things, so I did spend a lot of time preparing for the event and organizing it the last couple of years before it first happened, even if it was so small. And I thought, I was very optimistic about it. I thought it was a very good idea. So I wasn't surprised when the first year was successful, because it was exactly what I hoped for. Mm-hmm. Mm.
And was it then easier to recruit people for the second race?
Yeah. The next year we had 90 people coming, including Rune Høydahl, which was a newly retired world champion in mountain biking and a national hero. And he just popped in and wanted to do the race. And that was such a scoop. And the national media was very interested in his participation. So the second year was actually great. Already we had international participation. We had good photos after the first year, and I must say we were good at publishing the news and the photos in the weeks after the first year. So already the second year it was a proper race, I would say. And national broadcasting, and the winner in the TV show, and this Rune Høydahl, that did a remarkable performance, and he won by far. And one more thing that was cool about the second year was that the editor of a German triathlon magazine, his name was Jens Richter, and he was a fan of Norway because his family always went to Norway for summer holidays. Mm-hmm. He came to cover the race the second year, and he gave us some great help, because he wrote that this Rune Høydahl made a world-class performance, which obviously he didn't. I must say he did a very good performance, because it was really harsh bicycling conditions. And he was still fast. So he was fast, but he wasn't world class. But our friend Jens, he wrote that it was a world class performance, which gave us attention among the triathlon pros. And the one person that came in to show this Jens that he was wrong was the Swede Björn Andersson. He was, I would say, the coolest triathlon pro in the world. He was by far the fastest bicyclist. He tended always to ruin his race at the run leg, but he was so annoyed by the German magazine telling that the Norwegian had done a world-class performance, so he decided to start in 2005 to show them what a real world-class performance would be. So he came, and I think that year, 2005, when he came in, and he was just so good. He biked 47 minutes faster than the second fastest athlete. That was also a fast athlete. It looked like he was riding a motorbike. And he also ran fast. He always ruined his races on the run leg. But this day it was so cold. It appears that his physique didn't really cope with warm weather, I think. But this day was his magic day when everything fit together and he was able to run fast for the entire race. The weather was bad, and the mountain Gaustatoppen was really turning ugly when he was arriving. I must say I was responsible for security that year because So I was desperate about seeing Björn Andersson finish at the top of the mountain. So we couldn't close the mountain without Björn Andersson running. We gave him a scout, a guide,
yep.
Because it was getting foggy. I must say, in retrospect, it wasn't safe. It wasn't a good idea. But it gave us the photos of Björn Andersson finishing at the mountain in snow at a fabulous time. And that gave us so much good media coverage the year after. I think after the third year, after 2005, then we had really established Norseman as an important and different race in triathlon.
And how has Norseman transformed since 2001, 2005 to today?
I think that Norseman is very much the same as it was the first year. It has become professional and well-driven without ruining the culture and the idea and the atmosphere and everything we thought could be great about making such a race. So I would say that the outline of the race is the same. The important parts of the race is the same. The good things have been kept, but it is now a professional, driven, proper, good race, really.
And talking about how professional it is, you mentioned you had some really funny and silly stories about things that you tried and they didn't really work out. What was the thing that you tried that you thought would be a really great success and it just completely failed?
I think perhaps the most silly thing we did was in 2004. I must say my idea was that you have to finish at the top of the mountain. Mm-hmm. Norseman is about getting to the top of the mountain. So you cannot think the race without finishing at that mountaintop, which turned out to be too strict, I would say. But the second year, in 2004, we let the late participants walk up the mountain in groups and some of them had to wait 30 minutes, so we could collect a group of 8 or 10 people before they walked together up the mountain, which means that the last finisher came in after 22 hours, well after midnight. And I was also the guide of the very last group of finishers, and it was completely dark, no proper headlight, and I misguided them, so they had to come down from the top, trying to find us and help us to reach the cabin at the top of the mountain. We didn't do that afterwards. The next year we introduced the finish of the run at 1,000 meters, not going up. It's a mountain. The weather can really turn ugly and so fast at this mountain, so it could be a beautiful day. And within an hour you could have fog, wind, rain, and in 2005 even snow.
What's your favourite part of Norseman? If you had to pick one element of it, what would it be?
That is a hard question. I must say, I just enjoy doing the race so much. I am at the most happy, I would say, 2 hours into or 3 hours into the bicycling. Then I am so happy that I'm always singing out loud, and I ruin my race because I push too hard. And I believe this is the best day of my life. I have never been as fit as I am today. Today is the day for the first time in my life that I can really push hard for the entire day, and it turns out bad every time. But I go some kind of psychotic. I think when you bike the mountain plateau there at Hardangervidda, yeah, that is probably my favorite part, where I'm the most happy.
Amazing. I'm really curious, what kind of songs do you sing?
I only remember how these songs goes when I'm bicycling and I'm extremely happy, so I can't do it for you now.
That's fine. And how many times have you actually raced Norseman now?
I think that is 10 times.
10?
10 times.
Is that the record?
No. There are people who have got more.
And what makes you keep coming back for more?
I just enjoy doing this race and this trip so much. So it's sad going into autumn and Christmas and I haven't done the race. It's not a good year really. So most, or perhaps about half my races I've done at the crew race. I even done the crew race completely alone one year.
Oh, wow.
I've also done Norseman in winter. I just love this trip. So I'm coming back just because I love this experience so much, from the ferry to the mountaintop.
And how did your race last year differ to other experiences you've had racing Norseman?
Well, last year was a disgrace. In April and May, I overtrained. I felt so fit. I think most of the time I am a healthy lifestyle, long-term triathlete. I like to train 7 hours a week. I'm not overdoing it. It's just a part of my lifestyle. And I don't have a great talent, so I don't need to perform any particularly well. I just love this lifestyle. But every now and then I happen to get too eager and too optimistic and too happy about the training, and then I want to do nothing but train. And that happened in April and May last year. So at the end of May I really hit the wall, and I should not have started at Norseman last year because I knew I was in a terrible shape all summer. So I got a white T-shirt, and I was number 160 until the last bend. So I was struggling so hard. I thought I was going to make it. In my head, this was like an American movie where I was a hero because I just made this black T-shirt, but I didn't. I was taken over by and lost my black T-shirt at the last bend, and it was I hated it. I must say that I'm not really too proud about my own reaction on it, but I wanted that black T-shirt so much also last year, so it turned out to be white. I'm not doing the race this year. I think I need 1 year break to come back faster. Yeah, I'm 52 now, and I don't really have a particular talent for doing triathlons or any sports, I guess. So I am at a very I belong to the about 160-ish participants now. So in a good year, I should be fit enough for getting the black T-shirt, and in a bad year, I will not get it. And last year, I didn't get it.
What would be your number one piece of advice for those who are in a similar position to you this year?
I think having a slot for Norseman should make the entire year great for you. You should just be happy about it. I don't think you should try not to do silly mistakes. Don't overtrain, don't be too worried. Make it something positive, because some of you might have been queuing up for the slot for 10 years. And this time you have got the slot, you are actually going to a tour and this ferry. Make it a wonderful experience. And probably it will be, you'll even be more successful, I guess, if you are not too focused and too worried about it. It's going to be a great experience, so just relax and enjoy it.
With those entering Norseman and having watched it progress over the last few years or several years, what do you believe to be important? Is it training smart and training hard? Is it talent, or is it a little bit of both?
Okay, first I would say that it looks like the start field is getting faster and more fit over the years. So in the early years it was not really a very fit start field, I would say. Anyway, I'm quite sure that your performance is a result of both talent and the effort you make. And I really don't believe in the concept that you can win something or be top 10 without a great talent. I even think it is almost disrespectful to the rest of us to claim that you placed top 10 but you don't have a great talent for doing this. It is not the truth. We are part of the nature, and we have a different level of talents, and that also comes to all kinds of sports and endurance sports. Those who really perform well, they were also given great talent. There will also be people who have a physique that doesn't really respond to training, and that is bad luck for them. And I would say they will not get that beautiful black T-shirt. Most of us have been given more of an average talent for doing this, with an average talent you can train as hard as you like and you will still not win anything, but you can enjoy the lifestyle and the sports and the training and the racing. I must say that I think it is very meaningful for normal people like myself to do long distance sports like training for Norseman as part of a lifestyle. It is very enjoyable. I think it is healthy, and it makes me happy doing it. But you have to accept yourself and accept your own talent and accept that I'm not going to win, and my body are not going to respond to training in such a way that I could be extremely fast. It wouldn't even take it. So if I try to train like those talented, then I just break down. I think I have the mental interest to train hard, at least in periods, but my physique doesn't take it.
Thank you, that was really great. And if someone is thinking of entering Norseman, but they do see it as such a huge challenge, what would be your advice to them?
Well, I think you should apply for the slot, and if you get it, you should just be happy about the opportunity, and you should come to Eidfjord, and you should go on that ferry, and you shouldn't be too worried, and you should give yourself a wonderful day and go for the white t-shirt and be proud of yourself.
Thank you. So unfortunately we're now having to wrap up, and there is a quick fire round to this podcast episode to which we have 2 questions. So maybe it's just a wrapping up section of the podcast instead. When you think of Norseman, what comes to mind?
It's just such a beautiful day. Friendship and the experience of doing it together with your support and the wonderful crew. It's a different kind of life, I would say.
And our final question, what 3 athletes would you love to see compete in Norseman?
The first athlete I would like to see is Chris McCormack. He was my triathlon hero, and he's the one that I always dreamt of seeing doing the race, so that would still be great. I'm Norwegian, so in Norway, cross-country skiing, which is such a silly little sport that interests nobody outside Norway and Sweden, that is where the top Norwegian talents go, and the coolest of all these cross-country skiers is his name is Petter Northug, and he has now recently retired, and of course this Petter Northug should do the race. At third, I don't know, would that be Bjørn Andersen in a very fit comeback perhaps.
In the context of everything that we've spoken about today, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, I'm still overly optimistic about this event. I think we are now in year 17 perhaps. It is still a very young event. Mm-hmm. It's still in the early years. And even if it has become a wonderful, great event that people know all over the world, and it is driven very professionally, I think Norseman is still a small event with a huge potential. So I plan to stay around for another 40 years, enjoying to watch and follow the race and see what it is going to be. And I believe that the future of both Norseman and the other races in this group, I think that they have a great future, and I look forward to follow it.
Very quickly, where do you see Norseman in 10 years' time?
I think that Norseman actually will be a proper world championship with good professionals fighting for the win and for the championship. And we'll see helicopters in the air. That is my dream, seeing the helicopters and the crowd up the Zombie Hill.
Great, well thank you so much, Hårek. It's been absolutely fabulous talking to you, and I can't wait to follow Norseman this year. Are you joining to watch? Or?
Of course I am. They find their job to me. Yes.
I will see you at Norseman this year then. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.